We're going to do some heart opening today. I feel like I've spent the last few classes doing all sorts of work about the glutes, and so I kind of want to step away because I feel like I'm overdoing it a little bit. So if you haven't been to one of the classes yet this week, go in the library and check some things out. I know there's a couple of you in here who would appreciate it. So with heart openers, I mean, I just feel like we're in this perpetual state of agitation, right? There's so much happening, and it's hard to get respite from the news sometimes, and it's hard to be at ease in your body when there's lots going on. And you know, these ebbs and flows that we go through in relation to how we cope with our own individual things that we're dealing with, as well as our global things, really takes a long-term impact on the state of our slump. You know, like the heart, the capacity to keep your heart open without force and push is very difficult at times. And our practice can really teach us to lose this, you know, that we kind of just can live here, and these muscles in the back of our body get really quiet and asleep. Instead of, and so what happens is, you know, we're slumped, and then we're like, no, I need good posture, and then we squeeze, and then all of a sudden we're exhausted, and so we go back to slumping, and we just have this like back and forth instead of coming into a harmonious place where we're at ease holding our heart open without having to push and force and hold ourselves so much. So a lot of that comes from just waking up the back of our body, and I don't just mean the shoulder blades squeezing together. I mean the full line of the back of the body, from the base of your skull down to your heels. So we're going to work a little bit with the back line today and just see what we can do to have some balance. You know, so much of our world is forward flexion, so we're just going to try to seek a little balance and notice what that does for your sense of well-being. So let's start with some breath. So take a moment to close your eyes and settle into the posture that you have right now, and just notice. Don't feel like you have to change anything. Don't feel like you have to make yourself broad and big and long and spacious. Just notice what naturally is occurring in your body without making any shifts just yet. And how is the state of your heart today? Have you taken time to take stock about how the impacts of our lives are impacting your state of heart? So just take a moment to check in with that space, feeling a sense of broadness, spaciousness in your breath. So instead of using your muscles and bones to open yourself up, let's start just from the more organic nature of using your breath to open yourself up. Where do you feel your breath moving easily? Where is it not moving so easily? Do you have a state of noticing the edges of your spine? So is there a little bit of length that you can find that isn't a force or a push? Start to notice the breath in the back of your body. See what it feels like to breathe into the back side of the lungs. Where are you able to reach? What is moving as you inhale? What is moving as you exhale? Imagine that the back of you is the front of you. So, you know, the orientation that we have in the front of our body with our vision and our voice and our looking out into the world from the front. See if you can turn that around a little bit and imagine that the back of your body has just as much orientation to the world, to your awareness. So even though you don't have eyes on the back of your head, can you get a sense of the breath moving your back chest? What's happening in the low back? Can you feel that you have some movement below your rib cage? What's happening in that kidney area, below your kidney area, the gap between your ribs and your pelvis? Bring the awareness of your breath there. And see what it would feel like to circle that back around to the front. So this is not to say what I'm about to teach you, it's not to say that this is the right or wrong way. It's just the way for this moment that I want you to orient your breath. So imagine that you're breathing in from the pelvic floor up through the front line of the body, like letting a wave travel upward, over to your sternum, and you can leave the head be if you want, and then drop the breath down the back, like little race cars sliding down, or a waterfall sliding down your back, all the way down to the sacrum. Inhaling up the spine, exhaling down the back of the spine. And like I said, this is not like, oh, this is the right way to breathe. It's not like that. It's just for today to gain an understanding of sensing the back body maybe a little bit differently. All right, and now release that a little bit. And the last little breath exercise we'll do is imagine, visualize the center of your breath now, not starting at the pelvis, but at the very deep center of the heart. So that our breath radiates out in all directions. We're 360 like a sun radiating out on our in-breath and melting back toward the center on our out-breath. What does this do to your collarbones? What does this do to your shoulder blades? What does it do to your head? Try not to rush the breath. Stay steady and slow. And bring the hands to the heart. Lift your sun, that internal sun. Let it stay shining bright. Expand out toward your hands and offer an intention for your heart, for your practice today. Okay, let's release the hands and come onto our back. So notice if some calming breath, how that served you. Are you feeling relaxed? And then let's just take a moment, have enough room over your head if you can, to bring your arms up overhead. We're just going to very simply be still with our arms down at our sides for a moment. And then very slowly lift your arms overhead and notice the change of shape in your spine when you bring your arms overhead. Just the simple act of arms above your head is creating a back bend in the body. So just go back and forth, noticing what happens when your arms go down, noticing what happens when your arms come up. What changes in your breathing? What changes in your mentality? You know, that morning stretch where we reach our arms, now you can do it. So when you come up and you reach your arms overhead and there's that nervous system kind of reset and refresh, just notice what back bends do for you. So, and they don't have to be extreme. This is not extreme. And it serves your nervous system really well. All right, and then from here, stretch out your right side, stretch out your left side. Just see what it feels like to elongate the side rims of the body. Finding your breath. And then bring your knees into your chest and give yourself a hug. Rock around a little bit. Just sense into what it feels like on the back of your pelvis. And then let's circle the knees a few times, one direction, circling a few times the other direction. Just pay attention to what you're sensing in the back of your body. Now open up your knees wide, away from each other and back in. Notice the hip joints. Also notice the angle of your pelvis. So as you kind of move your knees in a trajectory for opening and closing, what happens in the shape of your pelvis? Are you posterior or anterior tilting at any point in the movement of your knees? All right, and then let's go ahead and stretch our arms and legs long on the floor. Open your body up, wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. Get the tips of your body to wake up. Maybe roll your wrists and ankles while you're here. And then give a good stretch one more time. Feel that invigoration through the nervous system. And then exhale, knees into the chest, chin up. One more time. Inhale, open big and wide. Exhale, close in. And let's roll over onto our side. Come up onto your hands and your knees and find some cat-cows. So if our orientation for our practice today is to be aware of the back of our body as support for the front of our heart, see what it feels like when you move your spine in cat-cows. Notice all the little places that easily open and maybe not so easily open. A lot of times we take back bending postures in our lumbar spine, so notice how easy it is to dip into the lumbar spine and maybe how challenging it is to open up the thoracic spine and bring your attention more into that upper rib cage area. That's where we're going to work with today, is trying to get the chest open. And then feel free to swirl around. You can move through your shoulders, move through your hips, any kind of movement pattern that feels really good. Take your time. Make sure you're breathing. And then stretch back towards child's pose. Put your arms wherever you want them to be, so whatever's comfortable for your body. Let's walk the hands over to the left side of the mat. Open up the rib cage. Feel the weight come down into the pelvis. Oh, relax the base of the skull. Find that sun in the center of your heart radiating outward and back home again on the breath. And then come back to center. Walk the hands over to the other side. Relax the base of the skull. Open up the ribs. Find your breath. All right, and then come back up onto all fours. Let's find our warm-up twist. Reach the right arm up in the air. Slide that shoulder down. Pay attention to the feeling of where the ribs meet the spine. Bring your breath all into the nooks and crannies there. See what kind of opening you can access. Keep the base of the skull soft and relaxed. The femur bones are drawing back. And then instead of just lifting the arm back up, turn your torso toward the floor. Allow the arm to have a little bit different stretch. So our arm is straight underneath us, and we're stretching back towards child's pose. Open the back side of the shoulder a little bit more. And then we can go ahead and lift that arm up in the air. Place the hand down onto the ground and change sides. Left arm lifting. Exhale, slide that shoulder down. Feel once again that sense of where the ribs and the spine meet, where the vertebrae and the ribs connect. Bring your breath into all those little joints there. See what it feels like to breathe deeply into that space. Relax your jaw, your neck, your tongue, your eyes. Keep the face soft and relaxed. All right, and then come sliding back towards child's pose. Square your shoulders toward the floor. Broaden your collarbones. The arm stays underneath you, opening up the back side of the shoulder. And then inhale, reach that arm all the way up to the sky again. Place the hand down onto the ground and find your way to dog pose. So our first big full body pose, so feel free to move things around. You can pedal your feet, you can bounce and sway. Open up the legs, find the sense of space. Lift the heart up toward the pelvis, reach into the hands. Feel that sense of support by hugging the hands toward each other,
When you isometrically pull the hands toward each other on the mat and root into the index finger mounds, try bending the elbows just a little bit more. Swoop the elbows under and then lift the elbows up toward the shoulders and find the integration in the shoulders. From there, stretch into whatever length you can find without losing your stability that your shoulders and rib cage have now found. Deep breath in. Exhale, sun breaths right from the center of your chest. Make that sun. And then on your exhale, walk your feet forward, come into Uttanasana. Feel free to move around. You can wag your tail, roll your shoulders, wobble your head. Inhale for a halfway lift. The sit bones lift and widen. Exhale and melt back down. Let's try that one more time. Wherever you want your hands to go, extend the spine, extend the backs of the legs, open yourself up and then melt and fold. Push off your feet, lift to the sky. Remember, if you're dizzy, squeeze your hands, maybe squeeze your legs. Take your time to find your blood pressure. Okay, and then let's stretch our arms out to the side. Do some rolls with your wrists. Okay. Find your breath, and then press into imaginary walls on either side. Open up your collarbones, stretch out. Feel those nerve stretches from the center of your sternum out to your palms. And then lift one ear, lift the other ear. You can go fast or slow, however you want to wake up all the nerves that this impacts in your arms. You can try flipping your palms the other way, still facing out. And now you can try turning your palms down, palms facing in. All the little different ways that your shoulders and your nerves and your brachial plexus is open. Reach the arms up, big circles. And just warming up the shoulders. Now maybe your shoulders are a little unhappy with a big circle like this, in which case maybe you do smaller circles. So find the range of motion that works well for your body. Notice if there's snap, crackle, pop, scrapes, there's a lot of movement going on here. And then start to turn this into some cactus movements. So up and cactus the arms. Just find that sense of openness. Make sure the neck is soft. And then we're going to stay in a cactus. If cactuses aren't good for you, you can bring your elbows forward a little bit or change the position of your arms. Drop the shoulder blades down the back. Hug the rhomboids, those muscles between the spine and the shoulder blades. Bring some awareness in there. Find your breath. Then we're going to inhale, reach the arms straight up, and then exhale. Imagine you're pulling yourself up on the mat on a pull-up bar. You're pulling into a chin-up. There's a timer going off in my oven, which is very unusual since I haven't cooked anything today. So keep doing that. Breathe. All right, and then we're going to exhale and round and fold and relax. Interlace your fists and pull your fists down. Stretch the rhomboids open as you slowly lower into a forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Grab your blocks if you like them for standing poses. And let's come into a lunge with your right foot forward, your left foot back. Find some support if you need it. Chest opening. Let's start moving. Square the hips, bow in. Keep moving with your breath. So wherever you like to breathe, just breathe. Let the hip flexors start to open. Let the hamstrings start to open. See if you can feel the chest broaden as you bend your knee, the back of the spine broadening as you straighten. Come into a lunge. Place your knee down onto the ground. Unwind your foot or keep your toes curled, whatever feels good. Try not to let this knee splay out. Keep it hugging in toward the midline. Lift up. Maybe you want to keep your hands here. Maybe your arms want to come up. Extend through the spine. Find your breath. Gentle twist here. Hand on your thigh. Maybe you just want to reach with your arm up in the air. Maybe you want your elbow to come on your knee. Open the breath. Feel the hip flexors stretch in the front of that back thigh. Broaden across your collarbones. Feel that sun breath radiate from the center outward. Hug to the midline with your inner thighs. Stay grounded through the right big toe. And then unwind that. Reach the arms out to the sky. Out to the sides. Hug your front heel and the back knee toward each other to lift yourself up a little bit more. And then release your hands down onto the ground. Walk your back foot forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Step your left foot back. Your right foot back. Left foot is now forward. Come into a lunge. And let's start moving on this side. Notice your two sides. How are you similar? How are you different? What does it feel like to move steadily, smoothly, freely? Where are the endpoints of your natural range of motion? Can you hang out there instead of going past? You want to meet right up against your edge, and your edge can change as you warm up, but try not to push past. A lot of this pushing gets us into trouble in so many ways. Certainly with opening our chest and back bends, pushing can get us into trouble. Back knee coming down onto the floor. Either keep your toes curled or not. Inhale, reach the arms up, out, wherever is comfortable for you. Find the extension through the spine. Open up through the hip flexor of your back leg. Find the twist when you're ready. So hand on your thigh, reach that arm. Maybe you're just here. Maybe you want to just extend a lot and not find a full twist. Place your elbow if you want on your knee. Cross the hand to the shoulder. Broaden across your collarbones. Still finding the midline. So hug into the inner thighs. Stay grounded through the left big toe. The spine is growing. The breath is growing. Sun breath. Radiate from the center outward. And then come back up. Reach the arms out to the side. Hug strongly. Front heel and back knee. Feel the work of this posture to lift and open your spine. And then place the hands down onto the ground. Step back, either onto all fours, or if you have a little bit more shoulder strength available, you can come into a plank. Hold steady. So what does it feel like here to not just push the floor away and round the upper back? See what you can do to balance those points where the rhomboids are hugging toward the spine, shoulder blades hugging, not sinking, hugging toward the spine. Collarbones are broadening, but we're still, of course, using our chest muscles in this posture. Strengthen through your core. Can you still find your sun breath here? And then knees down when you're ready. Slowly find your way to the floor safely, however that looks for you. Take a deep breath, gentle, low cobra pose. Exhale and melt back down. So just a little review of how to protect the lumbar spine. Even though our focus is going to be on the upper chest, our lumbar spine likes to do a lot of bending. So let's see what we can do to protect. Inhale and lift the right leg up without your core, no core. And just notice the compression in your back. Put your foot back down. And now engage through your core. Transverse abdominis, that sense of cinching your waist muscles. Lift the leg up. So it's I hope it's very different for you. A lot more restraint in the posture, but a lot more stability and freedom in the spine. Place that foot down. Change sides. No core on the left. Lift the leg up. See what the back feels like when you don't have core support. Place that leg back down. Engage your core support. Cinch your waist into the center and then lift that leg. Notice. Pubic bone lifting. Remember that breath line where we're lifting up through the front body and down through the back body. Exhale and release and relax. Come back up onto all fours. Feel some movement through your spine here. See what feels nice. And then as you're ready, find your way back to dog pose. Long spine. Stretch through the hands. Feel that sense of stability again. Hugging toward the midline. Feeling the elbows, so bring your elbows out to the sides just a little bit and then swoop them under. Then plug the elbows up into the shoulders. You reach into the index finger mounts. Hug the hands toward each other. Feel how much more muscle integration you just found around the shoulders and shoulder blades and ribs. Integrate all that and then find space. Find breath, still finding the sun breath. Inhale, lift your right leg up in the air. Find your breath. Extend Exhale and bring your foot forward, come into a lunge. Plant your back heel down onto the ground. Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. You can bring your torso forward. So if you come upright in this pose and you feel like you lose your core support and you have a little like crunch in the low back, lean forward a little bit until you get that cinching of the waist to lengthen and come up from there. Breathe deeply. Feel the back bend living right in the thoracic spine. So the shoulder blades are moving into the body toward the ribs, and then integrate the ribs, the front ribs back in to meet those shoulder blades. And exhale and release the hands down onto the ground. Lift your back heel up off the ground. So we're squaring the hips again. And we're gonna just do some rolling twists here. So open the ribs as you come around. Try not to just let this be an arm swing. It's a big rotation. So we're learning to rotate the ribs along the spine as part of our opening process. It's not just about back bending, but learning how to have all the range of motion in our thoracic spine. On this next one, let's go ahead and come up and stay. You can always have your hand on a block if you need more height. Shoulder blades are away from the ears. Find the rhomboids. Draw the floating ribs into the body. Find your breath. Exhale and release the hand down onto the ground. Turn to the long edge of your mat. Stay low. So open up the backs of the legs a little bit more. Release your head down. Find your breath. And then come back to the front of the mat. Come back to the same leg you just had. Extend the spine. Walk the back foot forward. Fold in half. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt. Choose a block between your thighs or chair pose with no block between your thighs. You get to decide how you want to be. Take a deep breath in. Come into chair pose. If you want your hands here, and put your arms anywhere you want them to be. What's serving that sense of being able to stay open in the chest, supported in the back, keeping the floating ribs integrating into the body, making sure we're not over or underdoing the lumbar curve, feeling the work of the glutes, the legs, the quads, the inner thighs as we hang out here. So when you stay for a while, do you tend to start collapsing your chest? What does it take to keep the shoulder blades on the back and broaden the collarbones? Is there softness? Can you sun breathe? Big expanse, 360 out, 360 back in. Stand up straight and tall. Open yourself up, cactus the arms, shoulder blades moving toward each other, and then release and relax. Take the block out of there. Step your right foot back, your left foot is now forward. Virabhadrasana 1 on this side. You can always take the foot out to the side so you don't have to be in line, heel to heel if you don't want to be. You can even have your hands on your hips and lean forward a lot. Feel the extension of your spine here. Engage your core. Find your way up with that sense of core support. Put your arms wherever you want them to be. Remember, arms overhead is a gentle back bend in and of itself. See what the thoracic spine is able to access here. Can you integrate the floating ribs? Don't let them push out. See if you can draw them in a little bit. Push your front foot into the floor. Push your back heel into the floor. All right, great. And then we're going to come finding the floor. Lift your back heel off the ground. Hand comes down onto a block or a floor. Let's start moving. Feel the movements. So as you do this pose, pay attention to how the shoulder blade and rib cage and spine find each other in the back. So we're not just trying to work toward opening the chest, but we're trying to get mobility, range of motion in the freedom of how our thoracic spine moves, which we have a lot of different types of movement in our thoracic spine. When you're ready, after this next big round, go ahead and reach your arm in the air. And if your shoulder doesn't like this, you can always keep your hand on your hip. You don't have to have your arms be the extension of your heart. You can let your shoulder be just the extension of your heart if your shoulder needs to rest a little bit more. And then release that down, step back to a plank. 2 hands on the ground, 2 feet on the floor. You can always put your knees down here if you want. Find that balance of hugging the shoulder blades toward each other and pushing the floor away. Where's your sweet spot? And then let's go ahead and put our knees down onto the ground and come onto your belly, however you get there safely. So from here, we're going to cactus our arms. Now, for those of you whose shoulders don't like this position, you can do this with your arms down at your sides, okay? If your arms are going to be down at your sides, turn your palms down toward the floor. This will activate your shoulder blades differently. So everybody try this for a minute. Even if you're going to do cactus arms, put your arms down at your sides and flip your palms up toward the sky, and notice the heads of your arm bones roll toward the floor. Turn the palms down toward the floor and feel the heads of the arm bones lift away. Stabilize through your core. So now if you want, you can bring your arms back to a cactus. And we're going to just lift the upper body here. Lots of work. Stabilize through your core. Make your legs work for the posture even though they're staying on the ground. Shoulders down away from the ears. Breathing deeply. Exhale. Head melt back down. Pick up your feet. Windshield wiper your knees. Check in. Make sure that was not too much for your back, your low back. So if it was, restabilize. Find your core here. And only go up as we repeat to the place where your back can support. The back of the neck is long. The shoulder blades move down the back. Wake up the full back line of the body. And then exhale and release. Pick up your feet, turn your head the other way. Deep breath in and out. All right, come up onto all fours. Swivel around your spine. See what kind of movement feels really nice for you. And then as you're ready, bring your feet forward. Fold a little bit. Bobble your head. Move your tail. Whatever feels good. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and release. Back down. Rise up. Arms coming to the sky if you want them to be. Find your breath. And then release your hands. We can have our feet hip width or maybe even a little wider. You decide. This is very fluid. So I just want you to get the sense and let your hips go with. So sometimes we do this pose and we try to be very stable in our pelvis, kind of like working our core a little bit more. But for today, I just want you to feel all the range of motion that your thoracic spine has. So let the hips follow. Stabilize. So we're not giving up our core in this pose. We want to have some stability. Let your arms, the swing of your arms, help your thoracic spine to find a lot of range of motion. Maybe you want your arms going in different planes. How is your breath? And then come back. Let's do some shoulder rolls here without our arms this time. Just feeling the shoulder blades on the back. When you're ready, arms come up. Deep breath. Exhale, fold in half. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and release back down. Step your left foot back. Your right foot is forward. Come into a lunge. Crescent lunge now. Rise up. Bring your breath with you. And let's turn and open up to the side. So as we come, we're going to come into Parsvottanasana. So as we find our way, bend your knee, place your elbow on your knee. Before we bring our arm up overhead, open the chest. Instead of turning toward the floor, open your chest. Stay rooted in your legs. Find your glutes, find all the muscles in the backside of your pelvis to support you. Make sure your knee is not hyperextended. And then as you're ready, stretch that arm overhead and feel the full side length of the body. Full breaths in here, full breaths out. Can you feel those muscles between your shoulder blades sliding down the back? So find that breath up through the front, down the back. All right, go ahead and come back up. Find your way to a straight leg just for a moment, and we're going to come into Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. So notice if you push this hip forward, take it back, keep the knee soft, feel the roots of your legs. Bring your hands into platters. So 2 palms facing up, bring your hands out to the side. Try to imagine that you're serving people on platters, drink on a platter behind you. So the shoulder blades are hugging, the back side of the rotator cuff is engaged. Notice the floating ribs, see if you can keep them drawn into the body. Find your breath. Deep inhale and exhale. And now let's turn this into a reverse. Stretch the other side of our ribs. Open things up. Deep breaths here. And then come on up. Swing back to the front side of your mat. Back to dog pose. Inner spiral the thighs. Find balance and symmetry. Reconfigure your shoulder support. Bend your elbows out to the side a little bit and then swoop them under. Bring the elbows up into the shoulders. Stay rooted through the index finger mounds. Hug your hands toward each other. Find all that stability and then find the slide and glide of your rib cage and your shoulder blades. So try not to be in lockdown. Find the stability and then feel the slide. Find your sun breath. Inhale, lift your left leg up in the air. Bring that foot forward, come into a lunge on this side. Find your way up into crescent lunge. Breathe. Maybe your arms come up, maybe they don't. You decide what's working best for your body. And then we're going to turn and open up to the side. Parsva So bend your knee, place your elbow on your knee. You can also use a block if you prefer a block. Notice if you already collapsed the chest here. Shoulder blades down the back, collarbones are broad. Try not to let the floating ribs pop. See if you can integrate them. Put your hand next to you and feel the crown, the tail, and the back heel find their line. The palm on your knee, the elbow on your knee, try not to internally rotate the arm. Find your platter here even. When you're ready, stretch open, lengthen through the side of your body. Don't forget your legs, so root into the feet, find your glutes. Deep breaths in and away. Sun breaths, big torso breathing. Let your diaphragm loosen itself a little bit to allow for that big 360 breath. And then when you're ready, let's go ahead. Straighten your leg for a moment. Find your breath again. Inhale, and when you exhale, come into Virabhadrasana legs. Palms. So remember, your leg can be up here. You do not have to go into a real deep pose. You can. You do not have to. Find your platters. Hold your trays with your little glass on top. Serve the people behind you. Notice the floating ribs. Try to integrate and let this action happen in the back side of the shoulder blades. Keep the crown and the tail moving away from each other. Big sun breaths. Maybe you'd rather try the front line breathing up, back line breathing down. What's helping you? Okay, and then we're going to slide the arm up. Reach, extend through the side body, open up the ribs. And then unwind the leg, turn back to the front of your mat. Dog pose one more time. Deep breaths in, inner spiral of the thighs. Feel that structural support of the shoulders. Maybe bend the elbows, swoop them under, elbows up towards shoulders, index fingers down. Hug the hands toward each other. Try not to lock yourself in this. So feel the stability and then feel the breath take you into some movement to the shoulder blades on the ribs. Inhale, come forward into a plank. Hold yourself steady. Find that balance of front and back body work. And then go ahead and put your knees down. Find your way to the ground, whatever way is best for your body. Coming onto your belly. Arms can be down at your sides. Arms can be up. Arms can be out. Okay. Find your breath. We're going to lift everything up. Full back line of the body working now. Feel your core engage. Don't forget that you have glutes, you have hamstrings, you have muscles along your spine, you have muscles in your shoulders. Activate all of it. Keep breathing. And then exhale and melt. Pick up your feet, turn your head if you want. Back and forth you go. All right, come up onto all fours. Swivel things around. Find your breath. The last pass through some standing poses that we'll do. Come up one more time. Find the stability of your dog pose. Find the ease of your dog pose. Feel the shoulders stabilize. Feel the slide glide. Feel your breath. Inhale and lift your right leg up in the air. Exhale and bring that foot forward, coming to a lunge. Extending the spine, finding the breath. Inhale, rise up to a crescent lunge. Reaching the arms upward. We're gonna twist here, a full twist now. So we're gonna bring our elbow to the outside of the knee. If this is not available to you, to bring your palms together, then you get to have your block and come into the twist we did earlier with your hand on the block or on the floor and your arm up in the air. So while you're here, find that rotation, find the breath living in the back of the body. Feel the sun breath, feel the length of the crown and the tail. Stabilize your inner thighs, hug them, try to keep the back thigh lifting, and then exhale and release and come out of the pose. Back foot forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt. Come touch your toes. You can always put a block between your thighs. We're going back to chair pose. Bring your arms back behind you. Palms facing the floor. Heads of the arm bones lifting. Feel the work in the back of your body. Draw your knees back toward the hips. We're staying low for a moment. Pick up your heels. Okay. Just add a little something, something for some balance. And then we're slowly gonna climb up, and you can put your heels back down and just keep trying to get them up off the ground. Find the palms facing out now. Shoulder blades hug. Deep breaths, put your heels down. Find the back body. Try to notice if you're pushing. See if you can integrate front and back. Inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhale and float forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, step your right foot back, left foot is forward. Rise up, crescent lunge, bringing the arms to the sky. Feel the extension of the hip flexors, breathe. And then as you're ready, let's take the elbow to the outer knee, palms come together. If this is too deep, you back away. Shoulders away from the ears, collarbones broad. Keep lifting the back femur bone. The spine gets long. Take the breath into the twist. Or take the twist into the breath. Sun breath. And then let's go ahead and find our way out of the pose. Hands onto the ground. Last plank that we'll do. Stabilize here, finding your breath. And then put your knees down onto the ground. Child's pose. Settle the hips back toward the heels. Relax. Take some deep breaths in and out. And then we're going to come onto our back. So if you took class with me Monday or Wednesday, I talked about this and I'll just repeat it because here we are in bridge pose, so we might as well. When we're trying to lift up our pelvis and keep our sacroiliac joints from being compressed by lifting up, it's important to have a balanced muscular strength of your gluteus medius and minimus along with your gluteus maximus. So to feel those muscles, put your fingertip pads on your hip bones and then slide out to the sides a little bit so you're kind of right in the outer hip area. Take a breath and pull your feet apart from each other on the mat and feel those muscles kick in. It's okay to bring your knees closer toward each other or keep them in line, whichever feels better for your knees. As you do this, notice if you have dominance. If you have one hip that kicks into gear faster, this is your gluteus medius and minimus. Okay? So we want to integrate those actions before we lift up and use our gluteus maximus. This will ensure that we stabilize the sacroiliac joints really well, which will allow us to open our chest more. Okay, so pull your feet apart from each other. Stay rooted through the big toe mounds. Try not to live in the outer feet. Feel those muscles engage, and then start to lift the hips up. And just see what you're feeling. And then slowly lower back down. Notice if you have faster, if you move one side faster down than the other. This is a really good place to explore some imbalances in our pelvis. Most people have some imbalance in their pelvis where their hips are shifted up or forward on one side, and we have strength imbalances too. So now we're going to just trust that we know those muscles so we can use our hands elsewhere. Pull your feet apart, engage those muscles, start to lift the hips, and we're going to lift the arms overhead, finding that little bit of a back bend in the thoracic spine. Slowly lower everything back down. Engage gluteus medius and minimus, then maximus. Reach the arms up. Exhale and lower things back down. Now we're going to find a full bridge pose, and we're going to stay there. So hands are down now. So you can have 3 different positions with your arms. You can either have your elbows bent with your palms up in the air facing each other. You can have your arms straight with the backs of your hands pressing into the floor with the whole back of the arm. Or when you come up, you can interlace your fingers underneath your back. I would suggest only the interlace, which is like the quote unquote traditional way of doing the pose. Let go of that because unless you really feel open. Try it. The minute you put your fingers underneath you, the heads of your arm bones are going to roll in and forward. And it's very hard to get them back out. So if you can, great. But if that's a struggle for you, unwind the clasped arms underneath you and instead press the arms down or bend the elbows and press the upper arms down. So you decide, remember the gluteus medius and minimus, try a little bit of pulling the feet apart, stay grounded through the big toes. Use your glutes. Don't shy away from using your glutes. That squeeze of the glutes that we try to avoid pinching the sacroiliac joint will be helped if you use the outer hip muscles along with your big strong glutes. Deep breaths into the open heart. Feel the shoulder blades moving toward each other. Remember those holding the platters in Virabhadrasana. Use those muscles as you press your arms into the floor. And then release and relax. Notice if your neck took any of that, turn your head from side to side. Deep breath in and away. All right, so let's go ahead and start windshield wipering our legs. So drop the knees left, drop the knees right. Just a little wake up twist before we go deeper into twisting. And now we're going to do I always call this the textbook or the book twist. So come to lie on your right side. We're going to stack everything. So you can always put a block between your shins if you prefer that. But we're going to have our knees right out from our hips, our feet right out from our knees. So we're right angles. Our palms, you can also have a block or a blanket under your head. Your palms are together. So everything's at right angles. And then we're going to open our book. So these are our arms are the pages of the book. And we're going to slide it open. Open the chest. See if you can keep the knees from sliding off of each other. Deep breath into the chest opener and the twist simultaneously. And then bring that book closed. And then we're just going to roll over onto the left side. So we're stacking our knees on top of each other. Your shins are, everything's at right angles. So you want your knees at right angles, your hips at right angles. Palms are coming out from the shoulder. Support yourself any way you need. Take a deep breath in. Open up your book. Exhale your arm back. And just know, if your shoulder does not like these movements, you can always support. There's props to be had so that you can stack something underneath your arm so you're not hanging in space. Find the breath. Find the breath. Can you do that sun breath now? Can you feel the attachments of your ribs to your vertebrae? Can you open across the muscles of your chest? And then go ahead and unwind that twist back to a closed book and then come to lie down on your back. Bring your knees into your chest and maybe find happy baby pose. So hold your feet. Do you want to rock a little bit left and right? The spine grows. And let's release your feet down. So reverse pigeon pose, thigh over thigh, hip opener, actual pigeon pose, any hip opening pose that you prefer right now. Let's just release from some of the standing poses. Feel free when you put your right foot over your left knee or your right thigh over your left thigh or whatever you're doing. If you want to move, feel free to move. If you want to be still, feel free to be still. Are you breathing? Let's go ahead and change sides. Put your right foot down, either the thigh cross, left thigh over right thigh, or left foot over right knee, or if you're in pigeon pose, just come up and switch sides. Find your breath. Once you find the posture you want to be in, do you want to move? Do you want to be still? What's here for you? Your breath is here for you. Let's go ahead and relax that. Find your breath. Now, you get to choose a posture right now. So do you want to do something like heart bench or Supta Baddha Konasana, or just lying down and doing some deep breathing? So choose something that feels like a completion of the sequence. If you have blocks and you want to do heart bench, you can have one like this, one like this. You can have one like this instead of like this, if that's better for your back. If that feels like too much right now, you can lie on your back and come into Supta Baddha Konasana. You can do both. So you can have your spine in between your shoulder blades on the block, the other one under your head, and you can open up your knees, soles of the feet together. We won't be here very long, so just take some time, and maybe you're choosing something totally different. Maybe you're in bridge pose with the block under your pelvis. That's a good choice too. So something that feels nourishing to the work of keeping your heart open, feeling the mobility of your thoracic spine in all the ways that it can move. Noticing how that sun breath feels now. You can stay here much longer if you're very comfortable, and at any point that you want to transition into Shavasana, you can.
So if you want a few minutes in Shavasana, now is the time to make a change where you can lie on the floor and support yourself however you need. If you want your legs up, that's great. If you don't, that's great. As you start to settle your limbs down, notice the expansiveness of your torso. Breathe deeply, letting the sun breath be soft and spacious instead of anything that's forced. Melt your eyes and your jaw. Feel that sense of ease as you come deep into Shavasana. Let's begin to deepen our breathing, finding that sense of ease in your body, your mind. Melt your limbs one more time into the floor. And start to find some movement that feels nice. Maybe bringing your knees into your chest or rocking a bit or anything that feels good. Rolling over onto your side. Use your arms to help yourself upright. Let's take some deep breaths here. You can have your hands down for just a moment. Just feel the expansiveness of your heart space, the freedom of your breath. And let's offer this open heart. Bring your palms together and offer the open heart to someone you know who's a little shut down, needs a little care. Namaste. Thank you, everybody.